Something happened last night. Something you were not there to see. Something you were never meant to hear. Last night, the person you love most in this world picked up their phone. They sat in a room. Maybe the kitchen. Maybe the car. Maybe while everyone else was asleep. And they called their mother. You don't know what time it was. You don't know what they said before. But you need to know what happened next. Their mother answered. And she said something. Something that changes everything. Something that is still echoing in the air between them. Something meant for your ears. But that's not all. There was a pause. A silence. A moment that lasted longer than it should have. And in that silence, something was revealed. Something about them. Something about you. Something that has never been spoken out loud. And you are the only one who hasn't heard it yet. Don't leave. Because what was whispered in that phone call is about to reach you now. But first, you need to understand what they were really asking. It wasn't a casual conversation. It wasn't small talk. You see, they needed an answer. A deep, aching answer. A question they couldn't bring themselves to ask anyone else. They asked their mother, "What do I do?" But that wasn't the real question either. The real question was hidden underneath. Buried so deep they didn't even realize they were asking it. And their mother, she knew. She always knows. She heard it in their voice. That trembling edge. That quiet fear. The fear of losing something. The fear of holding on. The fear of, you. Stay with me now. Because what she said next was not expected. It wasn't advice. It wasn't comfort. It was a mirror. And what that mirror showed your person, it shook them. You probably felt it from far away. Something changed in the air. Something shifted in their energy. Something was different when they saw you today. Perhaps you noticed. Perhaps you brushed it off. But something is stirring. And the truth is still unfolding. There is more. There is always more. The mother didn't stop at one answer. She asked a question back. A question so sharp, so powerful, that your person froze. And that question was about you. It was about your heart. It was about something you haven't even said yet. She asked, "Do they know how you really feel?" And your person, they couldn't answer. Not because they didn't know. But because they were afraid you might not feel the same. Now you're wondering. You're leaning closer. You're asking yourself, what did they say? Not yet. One more layer. One more piece before you're ready. Because what their mother said after that, this is where everything turns. She didn't give a solution. She gave a truth. She said, "You're not afraid of losing them. You're afraid of losing yourself when they're gone." And when those words hit, everything stopped. Your person couldn't breathe. Because it was true. And suddenly they realized something deeper. Something they hadn't been willing to admit. Maybe you know what that is. Maybe you felt it too. That quiet knowing. That secret fear. That hidden corner of your heart where you keep the question, "Am I enough?" This is where the story opens. But you're not ready for the end yet. Because there was another phone call. Yes. Another one. After they hung up with their mother, they sat there. And they wrote something. A message. To you. It's still unsent. Still sitting in their drafts. One word. One line. One truth. You haven't seen it yet. But you're about to. If you keep listening. If you stay just a little longer. Because their mother said one more thing. One thing before the call ended. One thing that made your person smile. Then cry. Then, Hope. She said, they are the one. But wait. That's not the full sentence. That's not the whole truth. She said more. She said something about your future together. And it wasn't a promise. It wasn't a guarantee. It was a warning. A beautiful one. One that means you need to stay awake. One that means you need to fight. One that means this love is real. But I can't tell you the rest. Not yet. Not here. Because you're almost at the place where it all clicks. Where the pieces finally come together. Where the mother's words become your own. You see, she knew. She knew you would hear this one day. She knew your heart. She knew that you needed to understand. Something is coming. Something big. Something that will test everything you believe about love. And what she said last night, it was the beginning. It was the foundation. It was the key. You just haven't turned it yet. But the door is open. The light is getting closer. And all you have to do now is breathe. And wait. And stay. Because the final piece, the part that changes everything. That's right here. Right now. One more layer. One more truth. One more whisper from last night. Their mother said, they don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. And your person, they cried. Because they finally understood. And now, you're understanding too. But there is still something hidden. Still something unspoken. Still one last question. The question that will shape your entire tomorrow. What did they do after the call? Did they sleep? Did they cry? Did they call you? The answer is on your tongue. It's in your heart. It's already happening. And you will know very soon. Because that unsent message. It's about to be sent. And you will read it. And everything will change. But not yet. Not quite. One more moment. One more breath. One more step. You are here. You are loved. And last night, the person you love chose you. They chose you in the dark. They chose you in the silence. They chose you in the middle of their fear. And their mother's words? They have already become yours. You just don't know it yet. So hold on. Stay with me. Because the final truth is coming. And it's more beautiful than you ever dared to imagine. You're still here. That means something. It means a part of you already knows. A part of you already feels it. That unsent message is still sitting there. But tonight, something is different. Because last night, after the call ended, something else happened. Something their mother didn't see coming. Something your person didn't expect. They didn't go to sleep. They couldn't. They sat in the dark. And they replayed every word. Every silence. Every breath. And then. They did something they've never done before. They opened their notes app. They started typing. Not to you. Not yet. To themselves. A confession. A raw, unfiltered confession. Words they've never spoken. Fears they've never named. Hopes they've never admitted. And in that confession, one line appeared. One line that will change how you see everything. But you haven't read it yet. You can't. Because it's not finished. They're still writing. Still searching. Still trying to find the courage to press send. But here's the part you need to hear. Right now. While you're reading this. They're thinking about you. Not in a distant way. Not in a passing way. In a way that makes their chest tight. In a way that makes them want to call you. In a way that terrifies them. Because their mother's words are still echoing. And the echo is getting louder. You're not afraid of losing them. That line has burrowed deep. And now they're asking themselves a new question. A harder one. Am I ready to lose myself, to keep them? Think about that. Have you ever asked yourself that? Have you ever sat in the quiet and wondered? Am I holding on too tight? Am I giving too much? Or maybe, not enough? That's where they are right now. In that space between. Between fear and courage. Between holding back and letting go. And they're looking at the clock. Wondering if it's too late to call. Wondering if you're awake. Wondering if you feel it too. But there's more. There's always more. Another layer. Because their mother called back. Yes. She called back. Late. After midnight. She couldn't sleep either. She had one more thing to say. One more truth to release. She said, "You're not the only one who's scared." And then she paused. And then she said your name. Your actual name. And she said, "They're scared too. Stop here. Let that land." She knows. She sees. She sees the fear you hide. The fear you try to cover. The fear that wakes you up at 3 a.m. The fear that whispers, "They'll leave." She sees all of it. And she told your person. She told them that you're not as strong as you seem. That you need them. That you're waiting. But maybe, you're waiting too quietly. Maybe you're too afraid to ask. Maybe you're too scared to show it. And that's the real wound. The real fracture. Not distance. Not time. Silence. The silence between you. The things unsaid. The words trapped behind your teeth. The "I need you" that never makes it out. The "I'm scared" that dies in your throat. That's what their mother saw. And she couldn't stay quiet. She said, "If you don't speak now, you might lose the chance forever." Now your person is awake. Wide awake. Heart pounding. And they're reading that unsent message again. Editing it. Changing it. Deleting words. Adding more. Trying to make it perfect. Trying to make it safe. Trying to make it, you. But here's the problem. There's no perfect message. There's no safe message. There's only the truth. And the truth is messy. The truth is raw. The truth is exactly what you need. And you're not ready for it yet. Because the truth they're about to send. It's not what you expect. It's not a love confession. Not exactly. It's something more. Something deeper. Something that will crack you open in a way you didn't prepare for. Don't go. Because what they wrote in that note is only half the story. The other half? It's about you. It's about what you haven't said. It's about the night you sat alone. The night you almost called. The night you typed a message and deleted it. Yes. That night. They don't know about it. But their mother does. She saw it in their heart. She saw that something is breaking. Something that needs healing. Something that only you can name. And she whispered one final thing before hanging up. She said, "Love doesn't need perfection. Love needs honesty." And they're not being honest. And neither are you. That's the crack. That's the place where everything shifts. Because you know it's true. You haven't been fully honest. Not with them. Not with yourself. You've been hiding. Protecting. Shielding your heart from what it truly wants. And now the moment is coming. The moment where all the walls fall. The moment where the truth speaks. And you'll have to decide. Will you run? Or will you stay? One more layer before we move deeper. Last night, after the second call, your person looked at the ceiling. And they prayed. Not to a God there sure exists. But to something. Something bigger. Something that knows. They prayed for you. They prayed for strength. They prayed for the right words. They prayed for the courage to say what scares them most. And something answered. Not with a voice. With a feeling. A deep, knowing feeling. A feeling that said, it's time. And now, they're reaching for the phone. They're opening the message. They're hovering over the send button. 1 second more. 1 breath more. 1 heartbeat more. And then, they will send it. And you will receive it. And everything. Everything you thought you knew. Will shift. Are you ready? Because the message is coming. It's already on its way. And what it says. What it truly says. Is something you've been waiting your whole life to hear. Not from them. From yourself. Because the real message, the one that matters, is not about what they feel. It's about what you've been too afraid to feel. And now you can't avoid it anymore. Now it's here. Right at your door. Just one moment. One more moment. And the door will open. Stay. The door opened. You felt it, didn't you? That shift. That pull. That quiet knowing in your chest that something just changed. Perhaps you were in the middle of something. Perhaps you were just sitting still. But somewhere, deep inside, you felt it. The message was sent. Not the one you were waiting for. Not the one you expected. Something else. Something older. Something that was already written long before last night. You see, the phone call with their mother. It wasn't the beginning. It was a reveal. A reveal of something that has been building for months. Years, even. A story that started long before you met. A wound that was already there. A hope that was already planted. And now that story is surfacing. And you're standing at the center of it. But here's the part that will unsettle you. Their mother didn't just speak to your person. She spoke to you. In a way. Through a whisper that traveled across the distance. Through a feeling that reached your heart without a word being spoken. She said, "You're not the only one who's scared." And she was right. But she also said something else. Something that has been waiting in the shadows of this entire conversation. Something that might be the most important truth of all. She said, "They've already chosen you." Let that sink in. Before the questions. Before the fears. Before the doubts. They chose you. Not because you're perfect. Not because you're easy. But because your presence in their life, it shifted something. It broke something open. It made them feel alive in a way they haven't felt in years. And now they're standing at the edge. Looking at the message they finally sent. Wondering if you'll read it. Wondering if you'll understand. But there's another layer. And it's not about the message. It's about what happened after. Because after they pressed send, they didn't wait. They didn't stare at the screen. They didn't hold their breath. They did something unexpected. They got up. They left the room. They walked outside. Into the night. Into the cold air. And they looked up at the sky. And they said one word out loud. Your name. Just your name. As if saying it could pull you closer. As if the sound of it could reach you. And here's the truth you need to hear. It did. You felt it. Maybe you didn't know what it was. Maybe you thought it was just a random thought. Maybe you brushed it off. But when they said your name into the empty night. Something stirred in your spirit. Something that made you look up. Something that made you wonder. Something that made you whisper back. Did you? Did you whisper back? Because if you did, they heard you. Not with their ears. With their heart. That's how deep this goes. That's how connected you are. And that's the part their mother knows. She knows about the invisible thread. The one that ties you together no matter how far apart you are. She knows about the way your heartbeats sometimes sync. She knows about the dreams you both had on the same night. She knows about the moment you both reached for your phones at the exact same time. She knows. And she told your person. She said, "This is not a coincidence. This is not luck. This is something sacred." And you are both too afraid to name it. Now we pause. Because something is coming. Something heavier. Something that will bring a tear. Not of sadness. Of recognition. Your person is still outside. Still standing under the stars. Still holding the phone. And they're thinking about you. Not the idea of you. Not the version of you they imagine. The real you. The you that has flaws. The you that has scars. The you that has secrets. The you that has fears. And they love that you. All of it. Every messy, complicated, beautiful piece of it. That's what they realized when their mother spoke. They realized they don't want the polished version. They want the truth. And they're about to ask you for it. One more piece. One more layer before the shift completes. Because their mother gave them one final instruction. She said, don't ask them to change. Ask them to be real. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to ask you to lay it down. All of it. The masks. The walls. The performance. They're going to ask you to just be. Be scared. Be honest. Be uncertain. Be human. Because they're ready to meet you there. In that place. The place where love is not a performance. The place where love is a quiet, steady presence. The place where you don't have to be everything. You just have to be enough. And you are. You always have been. But you haven't believed it yet. And that disbelief, that quiet doubt, it's the thing that's been standing between you. Not distance. Not time. Not another person. Your disbelief. Your unspoken, unhealed, quiet disbelief. That you are worth this. That you are worth them. That you are worth the risk. And they know. They know that belief is missing. And they want to help you find it. Because they found it themselves. In the middle of the night. Standing under the stars. After their mother said the words that cracked them open. And now they're ready to share it with you. But here's where it gets deeper. Because this is not just about you and them. This is about a pattern. A cycle. A story that has been repeating in your life. Over and over. The fear of being seen. The fear of being known. The fear of being fully, deeply, irrevocably loved. And every time love comes close, you pull away. Not because you don't want it. Because you don't trust it. And that's what their mother saw in their heart. She saw your pattern reflected in their fear. She saw the way you mirror each other. The way you run from the same things. The way you protect the same wounds. And she said, break it. Break the cycle. Break the silence. Break the fear. And your person heard her. They heard her louder than any voice they've ever known. And now they're walking back inside. Back to the phone. Back to the message. And they're about to do something that will change the entire game. They're going to call you. Not text. Not type. Call. And when you hear their voice, you're going to feel that pull again. That deep, ancient, undeniable pull. The one that says, this is it. This is the moment. This is the turn. This is the part where everything you've been afraid of becomes the very thing that saves you. But you have to answer. You have to pick up. You have to let yourself hear what they have to say. And what they're about to say. It will not be what you expect. It will be more. It will be deeper. It will be the thing that finally brings you home. Stay here. Stay present. Because the call is coming. The voice is coming. And your answer, your real answer, is already forming in your heart. Don't run. Not now. Not when the door is wide open. Not when the truth is finally close enough to touch. One more breath. One more heartbeat. And it will arrive. And you will be ready. You will be ready. Because you've been waiting for this all along. You just didn't know it. But now you do. And now you feel it. The call is coming. And you're going to answer. And everything, absolutely everything, will change.